The person is Anthony Mims, also known as Big Jook. Now, Big Jook is the brother of rapper Yo Gotti.
Big Jook had just attended his uncle's funeral, who was a well-known kingpin. And after paying his final respects, a repast was held at Perion's event center, where the unthinkable would take place.
According to the Memphis Police Department, the victim was inside a vehicle at the time and was brought here to St. Francis Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased.
Buzzbuster is back again. 2 years after Big Jook was killed outside a restaurant in Memphis, another name suddenly exploded across social media. Rapper ller was taken into custody after a chaotic police pursuit ended with officers pulling him from a line of bushes. Online, the reaction was instant. Every timeline lit up. Rumors spread fast. Questions came even faster. And one detail stood out more than anything else. Yo Gotti said nothing. That silence only added more mystery. Still, the biggest question remained the same. Had the streets really identified the person connected to Big Jook's death? By the middle of January 2026, short video clips began circulating widely. The footage showed police crowding a residential area in Westwood, a neighborhood in Memphis. At the center of the commotion was Kenneth Mason, the artist known as ller. According to early posts shared by Memphis area pages, police had chased Lil Kenny through the city before he reportedly abandoned the vehicle and tried to escape on foot. Investigators eventually found him hiding in a stretch of bushes, where he was taken into custody.
Memphis rapper B.E.O. Lil Kenny, where he signed to QC, was arrested by the feds a couple of days ago. Only reason why people trying to piece him and Big Jook death, because this man keep dropping hints in songs and freestyles about the murder, and he keeps saying in interviews saying Young Dolph is the only person that believed in him. Like, look at this freestyle he did dropping full details about Big Jook murder that no one even know about.
Before long, screenshots and videos from the arrest were everywhere. Facebook pushed it, Instagram amplified it, YouTube channels picked it apart from every angle. One headline kept resurfacing again and again: ller, the man linked to Big Jook. From there, the speculation only grew. Some accounts claimed his name had already been quietly circulating for months, and that authorities had finally caught up with him after he disappeared from public view. Others suggested Yo Gotti and CMG had already worked out who was responsible long before the arrest footage surfaced. In the end, they caught up with him. Practically overnight, an artist who had mostly been known in Memphis underground circles became the center of the biggest hip-hop conversation of the year.
To understand why that hit so hard, you have to know what Big Jook's name carried in that city. His presence meant something in Memphis. The reaction said it all. When Memphis rapper Big Boogie spoke about the moment he learned Big Jook had been killed, the emotion around it showed just how serious that name was.
That's why I come back around like that a lot of times, bro. Like, this shit be crazy, man. Like, man, we gotta, you know how many people miss Dog and miss Big Jook, man? It fed a lot of people, bro. Like,
this wasn't small news people brushed past. In the middle of everyday life, the city paused and tried to make sense of it. That's why, when ller was pulled out of those bushes 2 years later, Memphis paid close attention. There was a reason everybody zeroed in so fast. His music had always lived in that raw Memphis street lane, full of references to neighborhoods, rivals, and violence tied to the city. Once listeners started digging back through his songs, a few lyrics immediately drew attention. Depending on how people interpreted them, some bars seemed to hint at the Big Jook killing. Online, those lines were quickly branded as self-snitching. Social media exploded, with comment sections highlighting specific lyrics and debating what they meant. Plenty of people insisted the details sounded too precise to be random. One of the most widely shared Memphis voices covering the case summed it up directly. The lyrics were a major reason the spotlight got even hotter. Long before any headline announced an arrest, people in the city were already connecting the dots. That's what kept the ller rumors alive. Across Memphis, folks were piecing together small details, reading body language, and building their own theories from what they thought they saw. The pursuit only made that talk explode. Seeing him pulled from the bushes after trying to run and avoid police turned into the image everyone remembered. Local YouTube creators seized on that moment immediately. For many of them, the bushes became more than just the place where he was found. They turned it into a symbol,
almost like a visual metaphor for guilt.
This smoke, just make it known. We come to get you like bounty hunter. In front of his mama, they down this brother. 5, 5, 6 hitting this nigga. I know a whacker, miss your fat ass stomach.
5 police sources have confirmed with Fox 13 that the person killed is Anthony Mims, also known as Big Jook. Now, Big Jook is the brother of rapper Yo Gotti.
Certain commentary pages pushed the story even further. Some described him as if he had been tucked away in plain sight for 2 years, only stepping into full view once pressure finally closed in. A few clips went as far as calling it the day Big Jook's alleged killer was brought out of hiding. Others presented it like Yo Gotti had finally seen the person many believed was responsible end up in custody. Silence from Yo Gotti only added to the mystery. Since his brother's death, the CMG founder has largely avoided speaking publicly about it on camera. During 2024 and 2025, anything that seemed to come from his side appeared in indirect ways instead. Lyrics, song bars, vague Instagram posts, and messages echoed through people close to him kept the speculation going. That's why, when new developments surfaced, the reaction was immediate. Once the Lil Kenny chase exploded online, Gotti said nothing, and that quiet only fueled more suspicion in the streets. To a lot of people, his silence felt like a signal. Posts spreading fast across social media claimed Kenny had been briefly booked into Shelby County, only to be released a few days later. At first, many of those reports insisted he had been taken in over allegations tied to Big Jook's death. Other versions pushed a different angle, saying authorities were simply holding him while they pieced the case together. Either way, the same images kept resurfacing everywhere. Chase clips, a mugshot, courtroom footage. Each repost came with a fresh caption, but the message stayed the same. Online, the narrative was getting locked in that Kenny was at the center of it all. The turning point came right after he walked free, and that is where the title really takes shape. Not long after his release, Kenny started responding to the speculation himself through short videos circulating across Memphis pages. In those clips, he flatly denied having any involvement in Big Jook's killing.
He also spoke on how far the story had spiraled, saying the online uproar had brought extra pressure onto him, including extended questioning because the rumors had gotten so loud. More than anything, he pointed to how social media had started erasing the boundary between gossip and reality. One particular clip spread especially fast, and a single line from it stuck. He described the internet as a dangerous place, and that quickly took on a life of its own. For a while, people kept pushing the idea that he was behind it. Then came the statement many had been waiting on, after rumors claimed Gotti had finally found him. To some, it sounded like a clear denial. To others, it only raised more questions. Either way, the entire discussion around Big Jook's case suddenly shifted in a direction few expected.
If somebody put you in the dirt at a funeral,
yeah, it's deep.
It's deep. They ain't no situation.
For them to know to shoot him, that means they know something. Yeah. You feel me? Because we just looked at it like, oh, Dolph got hit. We thinking on the internet aspect, like then they probably was trying to get Gotti, but they actually hit the right person.
But I mean, his street ties was already, you know.
Kenny's arrest landed almost exactly 2 years after Big Jook was fatally shot outside a Memphis restaurant in January 2024. For those already convinced the case was tied to retaliation connected to young Dolph, the timing seemed almost too perfect, like something pulled straight from a screenplay. To see why that theory caught on so quickly, you have to go back to the day Anthony Big Jook Mims was killed. It happened on the afternoon of January 13th, 2024. At roughly 4:15 p.m., gunfire erupted outside Paranon's Restaurant and Event Center on Winchester Road in the Hickory Hill area. An off-duty officer nearby heard the shots and rushed toward the scene. When law enforcement arrived, they found 2 men wounded. Big Jook was inside a vehicle, suffering from multiple gunshot injuries. He was taken to St. Francis Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. A second man was also struck during the incident, adding another layer to a case that immediately sent shockwaves through Memphis and sparked intense speculation about who was responsible and why.
A few others were struck as well, but they survived. By nightfall, the news hit Memphis like a ton of bricks. What made it even more unsettling was the location and the timing.
Big Jook wasn't out enjoying nightlife or caught in some late-hour chaos. He had shown up for a repass, the gathering Memphis families hold after a funeral for a relative named Eric Bovin. Getting attacked at a repass in broad daylight outside a public place shocked people across the city.
When it comes down to Yo Gotti, man, close partner, his brother, feel me, Big Jook, and it's being reported, close sources brought me some information. They said that this happened at a family function, a funeral.
Even longtime Memphis figures said it crossed the line. This wasn't some incident outside a nightclub. It wasn't a street dispute that spiraled. It looked like a planned attack carried out while loved ones were already mourning. According to witnesses, the people responsible sped away in a white Ford Explorer with black rims, heavily tinted windows, and no license plates from the start. Every piece of that description seemed to point in one direction. Big Jook was the intended target. That idea carried serious weight because Big Jook was far from an unknown name in Memphis. At 47, he held a major role within CMG, the label built by his younger brother, Yo Gotti. On paper, he was an executive. In reality, his influence stretched much further through the city. He was one of the key figures helping CMG operate and maintain its reach. When autopsy details surfaced later, the story became even more disturbing. 6 firearm-related injuries were noted. He suffered multiple injuries, including trauma to the head and neck. Everything about the attack suggested careful planning, tight execution, and an escape so clean that investigators were left with almost nothing to work with. What made it even more chilling was his final Instagram post, shared just one day earlier. In it, he warned, "They don't want to face you, they want to snake you. Stay alert too, stay alive. Watch your back at all times." After what happened, those words took on a disturbing new weight. One of the strongest public criticisms of the security breakdown came from Memphis figure Hernandez Govin. He openly suggested that Big J should have been moving differently and questioned the people around him that day. That opinion spread fast, becoming one of the most talked about reactions in the city. When the funeral took place, the crowd was large and the police presence was impossible to miss. Yo Gotti said very little, choosing instead to share a few cryptic tributes online. Meanwhile, time kept moving. Months went by. A full year passed, followed by another. Even by August 2025, when the commercial appeal revisited the case, Memphis police still said there were no publicly named suspects. More than 18 months after the killing, the white Explorer had not led to any charges. Surveillance footage had still not produced a name. The investigation remained open, but outwardly, it had gone quiet. For a city still looking for answers, the silence only made the case feel more unsettling. For a city as deeply tied to rap as Memphis, the quiet after it happened was impossible to ignore. Almost immediately, the same question that follows every unsolved killing in the city started spreading everywhere. Who wanted a gun? Around Memphis, many people thought they already knew where the story began. It led back to the alleged $100,000 murder-for-hire plot, the death of young Dolph, and courtroom testimony that connected Big Jook's name to the case long before his own funeral.
You said you used to serve his big brother bricks.
Hell no. I ain't say that.
Yeah, you did.
I ain't never said nothing about no bricks my whole career, Charlamagne. You tripping.
Where you
tripping.
What was the lyric?
You tripping. You can go back. We can bet some money.
Don't play
if
with
I said
me,
something about
buddy.
some bricks, I give you a $1 million check right now.
Front your big brother. Oh, okay, you say you used to front your big brother. That's what you said. You ain't say brick. You just said front you.
That's the reason the talk around him never really faded. To understand why, you have to go back to November 17th, 2021.
On that afternoon, Adolph Thornton Jr., known to the world as Young Dolph, arrived at Makita's homemade butter cookies on Airways. He went inside to buy tickies, something that should have been completely ordinary. Instead, according to investigators, 2 gunmen stepped out of a white Mercedes and opened fire, using both a handgun and a semi-automatic rifle. Reports said roughly 22 shots were fired. Dolph did not survive. The first clips that surfaced online captured the shock and chaos people felt the moment the news broke. Yet what pushed this from a heartbreaking loss into a case that rattled the entire music industry came later. In late 2024, the trial took a major turn when one of the accused shooters, Cornelius Smith, testified in court and described how the killing was allegedly organized, funded, and carried out. According to Smith's testimony,
the person he says set everything in motion was Big Jook. In court, Smith claimed Big Jook had put a $100,000 contract on Dolph after years of tension, including diss tracks and the ongoing label conflict between CMG and Paper Route Empire. Smith described the payout in stark terms. He said the alleged arrangement called for $40,000 to him, another $40,000 to Justin Straight Drop Johnson, and $20,000 to alleged go-between Hernandez Govan. What made the testimony hit even harder was how closely it matched rumors that had already been circulating in Memphis. Smith told the court that he and Johnson were aware money had been offered for Dolph. Their original plan, he said, was to catch him at the Turkey Drive, an event Dolph was known for attending each year. Once they noticed his car at the bakery, though, everything shifted. Smith testified that they drove up, fired, and left the scene. Later that same night, he said, they allegedly got on FaceTime with Big Jook to confirm the job was done, using coded language and even hand signs to spell out Dolph's name.
The money, Smith said, never came the way he expected. He testified that he had been promised a life-changing amount. Yet before landing in legal trouble, he received only $800 out of the $40,000 he believed he was owed. He also told the court he carried it out on his daughter's birthday, hoping to make enough money to buy her a gift. What happened next turned this case into something even bigger.
I been to the fest, so I don't talk on phone. Free King Dollar, he coming home. Just bought a new match, I ain't never home. If you want this smoke, just make it known. We come to get you like bounty hunters. In front of his mama, they down this brother. 5.56 hitting at this nigga. I know where I can meet your fat ass stomach. We come to get you like bounty hunters. In front of his mama, they down this brother.
Hernandez Govan described that stretch of the story as chaotic. And he also addressed the claim that an alleged $100,000 could have circulated through the streets. One rumor hit especially hard, the idea that Big Jook disappeared when the shooters needed him most. That claim quickly became one of the most talked about parts of the entire case. From there, the courtroom outcome left a lasting mark on Memphis rap. In September 2024, Justin Johnson was convicted and sentenced to life. Hernandez Govan, meanwhile, was acquitted. Still, across hearing after hearing, one name kept surfacing, even though that person was never in a position to respond personally: Big Jook. He was not charged. He was never indicted. He also never had the opportunity to reject those accusations under oath. Even so, the public narrative had already taken shape. Big Jook was widely portrayed as the person who allegedly placed a price on Dolph. That portrayal only fueled another belief spreading through the city, that retaliation eventually reached him. To see why that theory gained so much traction, you have to look at how long and how serious the tension between Yo Gotti and young Dolph had been. This didn't begin in 2021. The friction reportedly stretches back to around 2014, when Dolph openly declined a CMG offer and doubled down on building his own independent path.
I've been doing this, man, on my own since day one. A lot of people, everybody almost came to me with different situations like, man, let me help you with this and do this and do that. But me in my position, like, I got too much of my own money tied in this and too much of my own time in it. Like, I got too much invested in it. Say, Gotti wanted me to do like, man, come on, bro, let's do CMG paper route. That's cool, I'm knocking for that. If I was him, I would have came to me like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But only thing was going to happen behind it, people like, oh, he popped off because of Gotti.
After that, the divide kept growing, stage by stage, as Memphis rap rivalries became impossible to ignore.
Subliminal shots only escalated things. Tracks like Play With Your Bitch put Yo Gotti in the spotlight by name, while hard-edged replies from CMG-associated artists such as Black Youngster pushed the conflict even further. Before long, what started in music was being tied to violence far beyond the studio. Everything intensified in February 2017, when Dolph's SUV was struck by more than 100 rounds in Charlotte, North Carolina. What spared him was the bulletproof protection built into the vehicle. Months later, in September 2017, he was hit multiple times outside a retail store in Hollywood. Each incident reinforced the same conclusion. This feud was no longer limited to songs and public jabs. By the time Dolph was killed at Makita's, the backstory was already widely understood. No formal statement was needed. People knew the sequence of events, the years of tension, and the names connected to it. That history gave the case its weight long before any courtroom testimony began. The picture became even more explosive in 2024 when Cornelius Smith testified that Big Jook had put up the money. In the public mind, that claim seemed to connect pieces that had been sitting in plain sight for years. Suddenly, this no longer looked like a rivalry that simply spiraled out of control. It appeared to be a planned hit, with a reported $100,000 payment tied to one of the most influential labels in the country.
They say they knew Dolph was in Memphis that weekend because he was going to do the turkey drive. So they were either going to catch him at the turkey drive or anybody in PRE was on this hit. So Key Glock, any other the PRE guys were on this hit. So they seen Dolph, they did what they had to do, and then they called Jook right after. And Jook was like, I'll get with y'all later. Never paid him. Sent him a letter with $500, I think.
Some Memphis observers also noted that investigators had looked into possible gang-related retaliation, another layer in a cycle of violence Memphis police had reportedly been monitoring for years. That's why when January 2024 changed the mood in Memphis almost instantly, before authorities had even shared much publicly, people across the city were already connecting the dots. The shooting in Hickory Hill looked eerily familiar to the attack that killed Dolph. A public setting, a vehicle singled out, more than one gunman, and a rapid getaway.
That pattern pushed one idea to the front. For a long stretch, there had been silence after claims that Big Jook had allegedly placed money on Dolph. Once Big Jook was targeted himself, talk of retaliation only grew louder. Fuel was added by voices tied closely to street culture. One Memphis figure spread quickly online after saying in essence that Big Jook was targeted because the first mission had not been fully completed. Even as criticism, the message reflected the theory many people already believed. In that view, anyone tied to Dolph was at risk. By the same harsh logic, anyone connected to Big Jook could become a target too. Govan pointed to that same reality when speaking on how the streets operate. Security might be around you, but in the end, self-reliance is the only protection many believe in. That was the atmosphere when the Bayo Lil Kenny arrest surfaced in January 2026. Memphis YouTube was already deeply invested in everything surrounding the Dolph investigation. Attention was already fixed on finding out who might have been responsible for Big Jook. Because of that, anyone pulled from the bushes after a chaotic chase in Memphis was always going to face intense public scrutiny. Kenny fit the narrative almost too perfectly, and that's what sent the speculation into overdrive. His lyrics mentioned Memphis neighborhoods, street tension, and ongoing rivalries that many listeners connected to the city's larger conflicts. Once viral pages began pulling lines from his music and placing them next to details tied to Big Jook, the story spread fast. Attention only grew when people started digging through Kenny's social media. Older posts resurfaced, along with freestyle clips on Instagram where he appeared to mock rivals. From there, online detectives started building full timelines out of his posts. Their theory was simple. For roughly a year and a half after Big Jook's death and before Kenny was taken into custody, he had been moving openly, almost as if he felt completely out of reach. Eventually, that image began to crack. By that point, Kenny had become a central figure in the rumor machine. To many watching from the outside, he looked like the person Yo Gotti's side had been quietly trying to identify ever since Big Jook died. At the same time, Yo Gotti's public silence only made the mystery feel bigger. There were very few direct remarks, just occasional vague messages that fueled people who already believed the streets had delivered payback. Still, silence alone doesn't confirm anything. It can just as easily reflect caution, a decision to let facts surface before public opinion turns assumptions into truth. And that distinction matters because the documented record tells a much more precise story about Bayo Lil. In January 2026, Kenny really was picked up by MPD after officers chased him down and found him in the bushes. That much is true. The pursuit happened, he bailed out, he was taken into custody. Here's where the story shifts. According to every major Memphis news outlet, none of that was tied to Big Jook's murder. The charges that were actually filed paint a very different picture. Reports said Kenny was booked for evading arrest, reckless driving, driving a vehicle with window tint that violated Tennessee law, and possible possession. Missing from that paperwork was anything linking him to a homicide case. No first-degree murder count, no indictment connected to a killing, no mention at all of the Big Jook investigation. That detail matters. After a short stay in Shelby County, he was back out within days.
For a case as serious and high profile as an unsolved murder, that timeline raises obvious questions. People detained as murder suspects typically do not walk free that fast. It simply does not line up. Once released, Kenny responded to the online claims himself. He said the non-stop rumors actually made things worse for him. According to his account, investigators kept him in questioning longer because his name had been getting so much attention online. He also said they were pressing him about why so many rumors were swirling around him in the first place. So while the arrest was real, the internet's version of what it meant appears to have gone far beyond what the official records actually showed. He made it clear he had nothing to do with Big Jook's death. According to him, this was never about chasing attention or using the situation for clout. Instead, he pointed to the internet as the real problem, calling it a dangerous force where rumors spread fast and repeated guesses start getting treated like proven truth. What he said also matched the official status of the investigation. As of the August 2025 update reported by the Commercial Appeal, Memphis Police Department was still publicly saying they had no named suspects in Big Jook's murder. More than 18 months after the shooting in Hickory Hill, the case remained open with no resolution. There had been no arrests, no publicly identified suspects, and no grand jury indictment. Just as important, no major Memphis news organization had reported any case against ller Kenny tied to Big Jook's killing. Not Fox 13, not Action News 5, not the Commercial Appeal. None of them reported an arrest, an indictment, or criminal charges connecting him to the case. Even the lyrics that pushed so much of the online speculation start to weaken when you look closer. Memphis rap has long been known for intense street themes, heavy imagery, and references that sound specific even when they are part of the genre style. Taking isolated lines from a Memphis rapper's music and trying to match them to details from an unsolved case can easily create a story that feels convincing without actually proving anything. In many cases, the so-called specific details turn out to be far less definitive than they first appear. At first, people claimed the lyrics included details only the gunman could have known. Once that idea was examined more closely, it fell apart. The lines in question matched information already circulating publicly or sounded like broad Memphis rap themes that could apply to almost anything. Under any real investigative standard, those lyrics do not read like a confession. The image of him being taken out of the bushes added fuel to the story, but symbolism is not evidence. Hiding after jumping out of a vehicle during a chase is common behavior for a fleeing suspect. That detail may look dramatic, yet it does not tie someone to a homicide on its own. The bigger claim, though, was the headline-style narrative that Yo Gotti had found him. There is no publicly verified proof supporting that version of events. Yo Gotti has not publicly named Kenny in relation to his brother's death. CMG has not released any statement identifying anyone either. That framing took off because online speculation pushed it forward, not because confirmed facts did. Even in Memphis, resistance to the rumor had already started before Kenny made any statement of his own. One heavily shared post from a person claiming to have spoken directly with Kenny dismissed the entire connection as fake news. The conclusion on that title is simple. Police have not publicly identified Big Jook's killer. Yo Gotti has not publicly named anyone as responsible. ller Kenny was arrested, but that alone does not prove he was the person behind the killing. January 2026 brought an arrest, but it was tied to traffic and evading police charges, not the killing of Big Jook. Within a few days, he was back out. Soon after, he publicly pushed back on the speculation and said he had nothing to do with the case. Meanwhile, the official status has not changed. Based on the latest reports, Memphis police still considers the Big Jook investigation active. No suspect has been publicly identified, and authorities have not announced any major development. That means the story claiming the shooter finally spoke after Yo Gotti supposedly found him was never a confirmed breakthrough. It grew out of the Memphis rumor cycle, where real arrest video, real ties to the city's rap scene, real pain surrounding Big Jook's death, and a public desperate for answers all got blended together. What remains undeniable is this. In January 2024, a man lost his life in broad daylight outside a restaurant. More than 2 years later, his loved ones are still waiting for clarity. The Memphis Police Department has not solved the case. Whoever was responsible outside Perion's that day has not been identified by law enforcement and has not been credibly named by any reliable source. Until officials say otherwise, the talk around ller Kenny belongs in the same category as so many Memphis street rumors, where speculation moves faster than verified facts. We'll keep watching for real updates. Until next time, check out the other videos on screen.